What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to talk about what's going on with the overall market, what's going on with Tesla, as we have big news that came out involving it, causing it to drop a little bit more. And we have two very important head and shoulders to be watching for when it comes to Tesla as well. But before I break anything down, let me just mention a few things. I am firstly not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moo, deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, now let's break down what's going on with the market. The first head and shoulders that's worth noting is what I called out yesterday. We had this head and shoulders like structure on Apple, and we actually got a bearish break today, as the share price is looking bearish right now, and this could actually drag the market down lower. Tesla also had this larger head and shoulders on the daily chart. Sorry if this looks kind of small, but I just wanted to show you really quick. People are calling this out, and there is some merit behind this, but this doesn't mean that Tesla has to drop all the way back down. It's like 100, 150. Like I said in my previous videos, let's see if this thing breaks below 200 first before we talk about like 180 or anything like that. So that's just something I wanted to note about Tesla. But Tesla is still selling off for the short term as well during the pre-market because we had more negative news that came, at least from the perspective of these investors. I'll be breaking this down in just a few minutes. Now let's talk about some data. We had the manufacturing numbers coming out a little bit below expectations, nothing too crazy. Waller from the Fed gave a speech, and in the speech, they're going to be giving a speech, at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. At 11:30 a.m., we have the 3-month and the 6-month bill auctions, so watch for volatility at that time today. That's pretty much it for economic data. We have Waller giving a speech at 11. Then we have the 3-month and the 6-month bill auctions at 11:30. That's pretty much it. Nothing else that's too crazy. A couple things to know about the market. We had some bank earnings, very short week. Nothing else that's too insane. There was some news about Elon Musk I will talk about a little bit later on. And one thing that's not really making these headlines is what's going on at the Red Sea. There are still lots of tensions, lots of attacks going on, which is having a big effect on shipping routes. And that's very important for the markets and inflationary data. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. Now let's talk about some earnings. Earnings have been very mixed thus far in terms of guidance and etc. So starting off with Goldman Sachs, they actually did better than expected when it comes to their earnings. Revenue was a beat, so was their EPS. You guys can actually see them right here in very small letters. And also their guidance was quite decent from what I was looking at, pretty decent so far from Goldman. But Morgan Stanley was not that great. Morgan Stanley actually missed on EPS, and they ended up beating on revenue. You can see right here, they had a small miss on EPS. Their guidance seemed kind of mixed, not the best from what I was looking at. So kind of mixed guidance overall. And then we also have PNC. Right here, PNC missed on earnings. EPS was a miss. Revenue was a slight beat. But from what I was looking at, their guidance was not the strongest. Right over here, their financials ended up dropping. Sorry, that's from Morgan Stanley. Right here, this is where PNC has the numbers. Their financials dropped, and they were actually below expectations for 2024 in terms of net income and what their expectations were. This was bearish news for guidance, so we had weak guidance from PNC. Overall, I would say the earnings were mixed, some misses here and there. There's some news coming out about a possible plan for the Cybertruck in China, which will be coming out eventually one day, in my opinion, but it's going to be a difficult road, according to Elon Musk. There's also some news coming out right here that if you look at the top sales for 2023 and also in Q4, Tesla versus BYD, there are some numbers coming out. They're still being compared. If you want to look at this, you guys could just take a screenshot and look at this closer, but the numbers are continuing to be compared. You can see how BYD has been growing. Tesla's also growing very nicely on a nice uptrend. I don't really like to compare them too often, but that's what news sources are doing right now, so it's worth noting. There's some news that came out that Elon Musk wants more control of Tesla, seeks 25% voting power. Musk said, and I quote, "I'm uncomfortable growing Tesla to be a leader in AI and robotics without having 25% voting control." So that's very important. We're also waiting for a lawsuit about Elon Musk's 2018 pay package being too excessive. So we'll see what happens with that. I think that we're still waiting for things to develop involving that from what I was looking at. If you look at Elon Musk, he owns about 13% of Tesla, 411 million shares, according to the last quarterly report from the SEC. And if anything, he wants to actually have a bigger amount of voting control when it comes to being a leader of AI and robotics. So that's very, very important. But with that being said, He said unless that is the case of him owning having 25% voting control, he would prefer to build products outside of Tesla. So he actually said that he wants way more control over Tesla to develop AI and such like that. I do believe he could obtain that power over time, depending on lawsuits and such. But right now, with him saying that, this is a little bit negative for Tesla. This is what's leading to a slight sell off. On top of this, don't forget that there's something else very important I saw. With Elon Musk making that announcement, Tesla's actually selling off a bit. Uh, in my opinion, it's very important to look at this. And I think that there was a lawsuit that was pending. I saw some news about that as well, involving Elon Musk's decisions in the past, involving his settlements. So we'll have to see how that develops. But right now, with this big news coming out, with Musk once again saying something like this, especially after he had sold a lot of Tesla shares for the whole Twitter situation, this is what's led to more criticism and such. So we'll see what happens. Um, he also mentioned that the reason for no new compensation plan is that they're still waiting for a decision for the Delaware compensation case. So we'll see what that leads to. But for now, with news like this coming out, this is not the best for Tesla. Now, let me just quickly go over the technicals, guys. I'm very late this morning. I'm very sorry about that. I was waiting for a lot of bank news that was coming out. So watch 182 on Aapl, basically. I'm just calling out Aapl first because we have this head and shoulders, which is important for the markets. As for losing this, our next target could be very close to 181. If that fails us, there's 180 as support. And if we lose 180, 178 is coming. For resistance, make sure you watch 182, and then we have 183 around that range. 183.5, we have to break this to turn back to bullish, or at least try to push up higher. Otherwise, we're remaining bearish on the chart. Aapl looks bearish, just slowing the markets down. With the news involving Elon Musk, we have some bad news for Tesla. Tesla is starting to sell off. We have this strong downtrend, and Tesla is beginning to reject again off the yellow trend line right here. Watch resistance right now at this 215 to 216 area, 217.5. Then we have 220 and 222. For support, make sure you watch 213.8, 212, 210, and then we have 208 below that. If you reject off this trend line or off this 215 area, look for a drop to 213.8, eventually 212. Tesla right now is just barely holding this resistance. It's trying to hold above 214 right now. Might reject. It's looking bearish overall. There are two possibilities. It could try to break out temporarily to try to fill this gap at 218 or come close to doing so and then start dropping afterwards. If we get that break, if we fail to do so, it's just going to continue to sink. So whether we kind of like pop and then drop or just drop from here, those are both possibilities once we open. But the most likely possibility is, okay, that Tesla ends up just remaining within the balance of this yellow trend line. We just start to sell off more, and it looks very, very weak as we sell off to 212 and eventually 210. That's more probable. So watch and see if we get this break and then drop, or if we just drop from here. But the most likely possibility is us staying within the yellow trend line, so we just continue to sink as Tesla's looking very, very weak right now. So watch resistance, watch support. Tesla is on a downtrend, so be very careful, guys. I called out the bigger head and shoulders, which could suggest more downside. We will see how Tesla reacts. We also lost 217.5, which is a critical support. We ended up losing that, so it's very bearish for Tesla. The share price looks weak right now, unfortunately, as we got more bad news. As far as SPY goes, and I was talking about downside yesterday and during the other days, guys. As far as SPY goes, we have this gap up here, so watch and see if we push up to this, like, we're at 475 right now. Can we push up to 476 or still kind of chop around a bit and then sell off, or do we just sell off from here? Either way, it's looking kind of bearish. We have this like potential downtrend that could be starting. I'll wait and see how we open before I draw out any more trend lines, but overall, watch 474 support, 473.8, 472.9, 472.3, 471.6, followed by 470 and 468. Those are some critical supports. Resistance watch 475.5, 476, and eventually these higher levels. In my opinion, SPY is looking bearish overall. It's on a downtrend. Could push, grab liquidity first, and then start sinking back to the 472s, or it could just sink immediately as the couple of days pass. But overall, it looks bearish. As far as the QQQ goes, we look kind of bearish on this thing. It's trying to push a little bit. Could grab liquidity at 408 and then start selling off. So watch that very carefully. See if we grab liquidity, then end up losing this. If we end up losing 408, watch 406, then 404 and 402. Might pop and drop if anything. And last but not least, we have Nvidia. Nvidia is looking kind of bearish, guys. Nvidia could it's not looking bearish just yet, but it's at resistance right now. That's what I was trying to say. I called this out yesterday, so we're at this resistance zone. Remember, we hit this 550 area, rejected, hit it here, rejected, hit it here, rejected. We're approaching it right now. Watch 552 as resistance, 555, For support, make sure you watch 550, 545, and 542. I think the market's about to open, so we'll see if this rejects over here and comes back down or not, but make sure you watch your levels. Anyways, guys, I apologize for taking long today. I was actually really busy, but have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.